everybody, welcome to Reptile Encounters Wild Livestream. My name's Tia and I'm a wildlife ambassador at Reptile Encounters, and whilst we are spending a moment waiting for more people to jump online and watch this amazing little snippet I'm going to give you just in a second, I am going to take this opportunity to encourage you guys to follow us on all our social media. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, get onto our Instagram and our Facebook so you can make sure that you're tuning in to the excitement in the amazing lives of us at Reptile Encounters at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. daily. Now, teachers, I have some incredible news for you because Reptile Encounters are now offering our school incursions as wild live streams. So this means you're getting curriculum-specific content that's still interactive and up close with some of Australia's most incredible native animals. So make sure you contact us to find out a little bit more about that. Alrighty, now that we've got a few more viewers.
John says hello, Tia.
Hi John, how are you this morning?
So does Debbie.
Hello Debbie. Okay, now my name's Tia. I'm from Reptile Encounters, and good morning and welcome to our wild live stream. Now, I've been passionate about nature from before I can remember, and here in Australia we have some of the most incredible, unique and endangered animals, and almost 90% of these creatures are not found anywhere else in the world. So I feel pretty special that today I get to share some of them with you. I know a lot of you are cooped up indoors at the moment, but it's really important we don't forget to be connecting with nature. Let's not forget about that outside world around us, the conservation of our planet. Let's not forget to talk about the protection of the wildlife that we share our environments with. So let's get a start straight away. Today we are going to be shining the spotlight on an Australian species, or a species of animal that's actually been virtually unchanged on this planet for 250 million years. We have over 200 of these species here in Australia, and most of them are found nowhere else. Welcome to our talk about the wild, wonderful and weird world of frogs. Now, I find it quite funny that we're spotlighting frogs today because I've actually spent a lot of time out in nature with my spotlight, with my head torch, trying to actually find frog species, identify them, listen to their calls, and I've been doing this since I was a really little kid, so this is pretty exciting for me right now. Welcome to my wonderful wall of frogs, and I'm going to be starting at the very top with a species of frog that unfortunately is actually not found in our backyards down in Victoria. And I'm really jealous because they're quite good at living around suburban areas. Some people up in the northern parts of Australia even find them in their toilets. So I'm gonna grab an Australian green tree frog out for you guys to have a bit of a closer look.
We have a few hellos while you're doing that. We have Zara saying hello.
Oh, hi Zara!
We have hello from Ethan and Alana, and Sienna's here too.
Oh my gosh, hi Sienna! How are you guys? Thanks for joining. All right, who should I get out? Let's get Fredo. Wow, look at that! These guys have a ferocious appetite. They think they're getting fed right now. You're gonna find that out really, really soon. All right, stop munching on my finger, buddy. All right, here, whoa, check it out. Alrighty, let's open this glass for you guys. You gotta promise you're gonna catch them if they jump out though. All right, here we have Fredo. All right, here's an Australian green tree frog. They're called tree frogs because they're really, really good at climbing, and look at that amazing green color on their skin. Now, a little bit of a funny story. These guys, their scientific name is Litoria caerulea, and that actually means blue. So scientists got that a little bit wrong because look at that gorgeous green color on his back there. But there is a bit of a nerdy story that actually follows this. So when these species were first discovered, a specimen was taken to London many years ago, and the solution that the frog was preserved in actually turned the skin blue. So there is some truth to that scientific name. But let's talk about the color we can see right now. That gorgeous color on the skin there, it actually tells us a little bit about their favorite habitat and where they most prefer to live. I know they use that green skin to camouflage amongst big green tropical rainforest leaves. The tropical rainforest in the northern parts of Australia are a perfect habitat for these guys. We said before they like climbing, there's lots of trees, and in rainforests there's plenty of rain. Now, frogs can't survive without water, and it's because of what type of animal they are. Now, they're not insects, they're not mammals like us, they're not covered in scales, so they can't be reptiles. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to have a think of what type of animal you think a frog is.
And don't forget, guys, you can ask questions for Tia all the way throughout the live stream. So any questions you have, put them in the comments and we'll get to them as soon as we can.
Absolutely, we love questions about frogs. Now, if you guys answered amphibian, you are totally correct. There are 3 different types of amphibians. We have our salamanders and newts, which are kind of like slimy little lizards. We have caecilians, and not many people know about these amphibians. They're kind of like worms. They look super weird. And in Australia, the only amphibian we have are our tailless amphibians, our frogs, and I think they are the cutest ones, so we are pretty lucky to have them.
We are having some answers coming through from Stephen, who says amphibian. We have Ali, who says amphibian.
Oh my gosh, you guys are spot on. Well done, gold star for all of you today. Now, to be an amphibian, you need to start your life cycle off living under the water, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with what a baby frog might be. I'll give you a few seconds to think about that.
While we're waiting for those answers to come through, we have Michelle asking, how big can these guys grow?
Very good question. These are one of the largest species of frog we have in Australia. They could actually get to the size of my hand, so over 10 centimeters, and they can put on quite a bit of weight as well. And when they do get nice and chunky, these little skin folds that you can see over the ridge here, they actually fold over their eyes and they can get quite robust. So they're quite a large and impressive species of frog.
We have Stephen, Ellie, and Renee. We also have Zara saying tadpole.
Tadpoles!
And then Lucy says it too.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Correct. Baby frogs are called tadpoles, but before they're tadpoles, they in fact are eggs. Now, when it gets a little bit warmer, when the weather gets warmer, the males will find themselves up a really tall tree or maybe on top of a drain pipe, and they will start to call. Okay, they've got a really loud, grumpy sounding croak. It's kind of like a rut, rut, rut. And they will try and project that sound as far as they can to attract some lady frogs. Now, when they are ready to lay their eggs, the boy will actually help the girl by giving her a little hug. It's called amplexus, and that actually helps her to lay her eggs. Now, the fertilization actually happens outside of the body, and these eggs and sperm are laid straight into the water. And they kind of create this jelly-like foam that surrounds these eggs, and it tastes really awful to predators. So that does help to protect the eggs, and also having that slimy layer protects them from the sun, from those eggs drying out as well. These guys can have up to 2,000 eggs, and they float. So that jelly foam spawn, we call it, it floats on top of the water, and after 24 hours it starts to sink. And after that, that's when the tadpoles actually hatch. So they don't spend too much time as eggs. Once they're tadpoles, they spend about 6 weeks in the water. And in this time, they'll try and eat as much plant material as possible. Tadpoles are more like fish than frogs, really. They have gills to breathe under the water, and they also have a set of teeth to help them eat all that organic material that they find down the bottom of the pond.
We have a big hello from Jess.
Hi Jess, I miss you. Nice to hear from you. Alrighty, now, whilst those tadpoles are growing, they will first grow legs, and then they'll grow arms, and that fishy tail that helps them to move around in the water, they absorb it up, and they use this as energy to complete their metamorphosis. So I know this sounds like magic that they go from a fish-looking creature to a frog, but it's actually called metamorphosis. In this time, they go from breathing underwater with gills to breathing air with lungs. Little tadpoles that are almost in their froggy phase, they can actually be seen going up to the top of the water and taking a gulp of air as their breathing apparatus is transitioning to air breathing. So I think that is absolutely incredible. Now, another thing that makes frogs amphibians is their very special skin. I wish you could have a feel right now. It's super sticky and it's super soft. We can have a little zoom in over here. Now, if a frog is thirsty, they don't go get their drink bottle with their name on it. all they need to do is jump straight into a pond, a puddle, any form of water, and they can actually soak up the surrounding water into their skin through that outer layer of their body like a sponge. So they can drink and breathe through their skin, which is pretty phenomenal. So this is another reason why they have to always be around water, because they can't have that gas exchange through their skin without their skin being nice and damp. All right, I'm gonna pop these guys back up here whilst I talk a little bit more about, oh, did you see them all look around there?
We have a few questions. Wow, where are you going, buddy? We have David Jones, who is asking, which is the smallest frog in Australia?
The smallest frog species in Australia? That is such a good question, and I actually don't completely know.
That's okay. I think Uda is actually posting it in the comments, which is awesome.
Oh my gosh, you gotta get back to me. I really want to know this one. That's a super cool fact.
Debbie wants to know, do frogs make good pets? And if so, what is your advice about keeping them?
What's your advice about keeping frogs? Well, personally, I've kept frogs ever since I was a little kid, and I think they are absolutely incredible pets. Obviously, before... Hey, buddy, where are you going? Obviously, let's pop you back up here. You looked quite cute there. Obviously, before keeping any exotic pet or any pet in general, you have to do a lot of reading and research. These guys, it's really important that the water quality is super clean, and that they have the right requirements to try and parallel that environment that you're going to bring into your home as much as it can be close to a environment in the wild. So if you get all the husbandry part right, I think they are the funniest, most entertaining pets, and they are super duper interesting as well. Oh my gosh.
We have a question from Stephen. Do we breed them? And we will get to that a little later, I think.
Oh, you just wait for the treat that's coming on. So make sure you don't sign off, because we have some really cool stuff coming up for you guys in regards to breeding them.
Sienna and Lincoln would like to know, how high can they jump?
Oh, okay. That is such a good question. I don't actually know in centimeters or meters how high they jump, but I have a really cool fact about jumping. So the record for the biggest froggy long jump is actually 10 meters. 10 meters, you heard me right. And that is from actually a 6 centimeter frog that's found in South Africa. So to put that into human equivalent, that's like us doing triple jump over 100 meters. I just think that's wild. So I don't know exactly how high these guys can jump, but they have pretty amazing bone structures which have been specially designed to make sure that they can jump really long distances and also cushion that impact when they are landing with those huge leaps and bounds.
We have one last question on green tree frogs before we need to move on, and Kempy would like to know, what is the lifespan of the green tree frog?
Oh, very good question. This is quite a long-lived species of frog. They can live for over 20 years. So, well, that's in captivity. In the wild, it probably would be a little bit less, because they do face many threats.
Awesome.
Right.
So what we are going to do, so stay tuned, because we are going to feed these beautiful green tree frogs at the end. So look forward to that, but we'll move on to the next species now.
All right, we will. And we will talk about feeding, because they have a ferocious appetite, which is really cool. Oh, look at that little throat there.
I know.
All right, so I might close these guys up so I can open up the other. Whoa! Before I do go down, I've just seen, I've got my little friend here poking up in the grass, this Spot. Now, can you tell that Spot looks a little bit different from the other green tree frogs in the enclosure? Look at that yellow between his legs. We've got those little bulbous bits behind his head, and he does have some cute little spots on him. He does look very similar to our Australian green tree frogs, but this is in fact a magnificent green tree frog. And it's not just because it's magnificent, that's actually his name. Instead of being found in all states of Australia, except for Victoria and Tasmania, these guys are only found in the Kimberley. And as well as climbing trees, they also like to hide in caves. So that's something that does distinguish our two tree frogs apart, but they're pretty happy living in the same little tank here. Oh my gosh, they are hungry.
They're ready to eat.
Let's close you guys in for just a second. And let's go a little bit further down our amazing frog wall. And this is really exciting because we are about to meet some species that actually can be found in your backyards in Victoria. That is really special because these two species are also threatened and endangered animals as well. So up here, we are going to have to do some searching to find them. They're very good at camouflage. We've got our growling grass frogs, and that's an endangered Victorian species. And just below here, we have our green and golden bell frogs, which is a vulnerable species. And these guys are found in the more eastern parts of Victoria, and our growlers can be found in around the Melbourne region, but more in the western, more northwestern region. Okay. All right, we need to go for a little frog hunt because I can actually see some of them down in the corner over here. If you want to pan in over here, and I'm ready to catch if they jump out.
There he is. Oh.
All right, now these guys, their skin color is quite brown and dark right now, and they are turning that skin tone a little bit dark to help them absorb heat better, but also to camouflage. Whilst they start warming up, they actually do get these gorgeous goldy green colors coming through, and people do actually confuse them with the green and gold bell frog. They're quite a similar species. Now, really interesting, just like our green tree frogs above, these guys are also in the tree frog family and also have those little hexagonal suction cups that the green tree frogs have as well, except they don't really like climbing much. They can, but they don't prefer it. So their name suggests a little bit about their preferred habitat and preferred lifestyle. Our growling grass frogs are called grass frogs because they like to hide in those thick reeds and waterborne plants that are found around slow-moving, swampy wetlands. And they're called growling grass frogs because of the sound they make. So if you guys want to bear with me, I actually have a recording. So the warmer months are really exciting at Reptile Encounters because our frogs, they actually start calling and trying to breed as well. So I've got a little bit of what that sounds like. It's actually not that pretty. So let's give that a little. There we go. So they truly do growl.
Can we get one out for a closer look, Tia?
We absolutely can. Let's see. How about you, mister? Look. Here we go. Let's see. Hopefully he doesn't jump around too much. Now, what? Let's pop him on the ground a little bit. We'll try and make sure he doesn't scoot away from us. Oh, straight onto my hand. What a good frog. He's well trained. Now, amphibians are an extremely sensitive animal. We said before that they drink and breathe through their skin. They're extremely susceptible to their environment changing for the better or for the worse. They are something we call an indicator species. So this means that if we have a healthy environment, we'll have lots of frogs around. But if that environment starts to degrade or we start altering it too much, our frog species will start to disappear. Now, we said before how long frogs have actually been on this planet for around 250 million years. They've survived ice ages, mass extinctions, and our world completely changing. So it kind of puts it into perspective that when we lose frogs from a certain area, how big our impact is on this animal. Now, they face multiple threats. So, where are we going? Okay. These guys can get a little bit jumpy. They do face multiple threats. Their habitat is being destroyed. Whoa. Here we go. Their habitat is being destroyed and broken up as well. So it's been segmented by roads and farmland properties. I don't know how these guys would go, whoa, good catch, how these guys would go crossing a road. Now, whoa, we said before these guys also, their habitat also comes through farmland. Farmers do like to spray chemicals on their crops. Whoop, we don't want you going under there, mister.
We have a couple of questions.
Yes.
So we have, do frogs have ears?
Oh, absolutely. Let's see if we can zoom in for you here. So can you see that little disc just behind the eye there? That is their eardrum, their little ear bit there. So they do have ears and they can hear quite well. All right, I think that's our cue to pop Mister back in here.
Lucy would like to know, how long can they stay underwater?
Woo! Whoa! Perfect timing. So it depends how much oxygen is actually in the water. We spoke about before how they can drink and breathe through their skin, and if the water's nice and oxygenated, they can stay under there for quite some time because they can actually breathe underwater by soaking in that surrounding oxygen. I'm not 100% sure on the actual estimated time they can stay under, but it can be for quite some time, and these guys are capable of actually going into a state of torpor, so they can slow down their metabolism and their breathing. What, we've climbed up on the side there.
Excellent.
And their breathing as well, and their heart rate. So that would enable them to stay under the water for quite some time. But I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on the estimated time of that. But thanks for that awesome question.
All right.
Now,
cool.
we were talking about some threats these guys face. We spoke about habitat destruction. We were just speaking about how there's a lot of chemical runoff. So when farmers spray their crops with chemicals, it comes into their surrounding habitats, and obviously those chemicals go straight into their skin, which is really sad. They have a lot of predators. So not just predators like we've got our snakes and water birds that like to feed on them that are natural predators. They have a lot of feral predators like cats and foxes, but water is usually a little bit of a safe haven for them. But we actually have a lot of introduced species of fish that predate upon the tadpoles. So things like a mosquito fish or carp that actually get rid of those numbers, which is really sad. Now, a massive threat that frogs are actually facing globally, if all these threats we've already spoken about aren't enough, is actually that they have a really contagious fungus. It's called chytrid fungus, and it affects that really crucial skin layer on the outside. And that's another thing that is actually making populations to drop down, and why we're losing these incredible frogs out of our backyards, which is really sad. I think also, since this is a similar species down below, shall we open up our green and gold bell frogs too? All right, let's have a little look. Now, I know that's really sad that these guys are facing a lot of threats. However, there is lots of things you guys can do to make sure that we don't lose these special animals from our environments. We just spoke about cats and foxes being massive predators of these guys. It's really important that if you have a pet cat, you know how to take care of it safely. So make sure they're indoors at nighttime. They are safe from getting into fights with other cats. They're safe from being in danger on the road. And you're actually saving between 4 and 30 native animals a night by keeping your cats indoors. Make sure you are always throwing your rubbish in the bin, and you're recycling, throwing your rubbish in the right bins, because then it doesn't end up in our waterways and polluting these guys' habitats. We said before how important water is for these guys. They breed in response to rain and pools filling up, and clean fresh water is super duper important. We don't want to be wasting too much of it, so make sure you're having a 2 to 3 minute shower. When you're brushing your teeth, turn that tap off so we don't waste that water. And they're just some really simple things I'm thinking of just on the top of my head that I do every single day, and I'm sure you guys do too, that can help protect this species. These guys are called green and gold bell frogs because of their colouring. I'm going to try and get this one back here. Whoa! I'm going to try and get this one from back here to see that beautiful skin. Oh, he's come up on the log for me here. Can we see those green patches? And there's some iridescent pieces of gold through there. Now, when we got these guys as baby frogs, I can't tell you how special that color was. They reminded me of little chocolate frogs because that skin was so iridescent and sparkly. It was like they were wrapped in tinsel. They were phenomenal. So they've kind of darkened their skin a little bit now that they've gotten a little bit older, but you can see that green coloring coming through there. Now, we were talking about feeding before.
Yes.
Shall we feed our very hungry green tree frogs? What do we reckon?
Should we do a quick overview of our little babies that we have at the moment first?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Stay tuned. I am going to get you guys a really cool treat. So something really magical happened at Reptile Encounters when the weather started getting warmer last year. we had this one spotted marsh frog male that is the culprit of breeding over 600 tadpoles and little baby frogs. And here he is here. So he's a spotted marsh frog. I know you can't see too many spots right now, but they actually are leucistic. So this means they're not albino, but they're lacking pigment. So that's kind of why they look like little creamy vanilla frogs here. So you can see our adult male here. And over here we have one, so this is his kid. Yes. This is his little, one of the juveniles that have finally metamorphosed into a frog. Now we can tell they're not albino because you can see the color differences between the adult and the little baby. And all of them do look quite different. Now, if you stay looking at that, Faye, I am going to get the special treat, which is something we don't always get to witness in the wild or in captivity. So you're very lucky here. All right. Oop.
Right, we'll move these guys over into the light because we have a bit of a light issue. There we go.
Here we go. All right, you guys are going to have to get your spotlights out today so we can actually see some of our tadpoles and our partially metamorphosed little frogs too. So what I'm going to do so we can actually see them better, I'm going to remove this piece of log here so we can get a better look.
We've got some little froglets in there. We've got all the life stages, which is really, really fun.
So let's pick life phase number 1. Can you guys spot? Oh, hold on. Over here, can you guys spot? Just in the corner. Oh, there we go. Our tiny little tadpole, but they start off even smaller than that. I would say they start off kind of the size of a little 100,000, like really tiny. And they actually, so we said before that when frog spawn is laid, it floats on the top. And then within a day, they actually sink down to the bottom and they hatch into tadpoles pretty soon after. We have some different life phases. Let's come over here. Oh, down. Here we go. We have a bit of a larger tadpole we have over here.
Here we are.
That's better. And if we move over, we can see some little legs. Now I'm wondering, can we find some with our arms? Where are we over here? Oh, we've got a little cluster of tadpoles just in the corner here. We have a freshly metamorphosed little baby here, and you can see he's still got his tiny little tail down the bottom, but he has got his arms and legs. Now, one of those, when they are developing those arms, one of those arms will actually push through a little spiracle. So that's actually where they breathe from when they have gills, and the other one will push through a little weakened part of skin. Let's see if I can move them a little bit and see our other ones. This guy's just using him as a little dock there.
We're trying to fix the lighting for you guys. Oh, that might be a bit better.
Oop.
Where are you wanting to go, Tia?
And I've got a little friend over here too. So this is a pretty special experience. Not everybody gets to witness this. Here we go. I think, would you guys like to see some frogs being fed?
What do we reckon? Question first from Lauren. Do the batch of eggs hatch at different times or pretty much around the same day?
Oh, very good question. Also, Lauren's my cousin. Hi, Lauren. Now, they do hatch at the same, so the one froggy spawn, they do hatch at the same time, but the reason why we've got so many different life phases here is because this one male, he just kept going and going and going. So these guys had multiple clutches and at different times. So that's why there are different life phases. So they, in the one breeding season, they can lay multiple clutches of eggs, but in that one clutch, the maximum amount is about 1,500 eggs. So imagine that times however many times these guys laid. I think it was over 10 clutches that these guys had. So that's why we do have them at different life stages at the moment.
We have a good question from Ali. What do tadpoles eat?
Oh, such a good question. Now, which is really strange because they actually mostly feed on algae and plant matter. They can also have organic matter that is as not plant-based, it's meat-based. So technically they could be omnivores, but they mostly eat plants, and then that diet changes to strictly being a carnivore as they metamorphose into a frog. That's a really good question.
Awesome. So we see some frogs getting fed.
Yes, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's move our little tadpoles over here. All right, so this is probably my most fun, I think this is the most fun part about owning a frog is actually feeding them. They are massively greedy. They are complete greedy gutsers. They have zero table manners, and they'll actually eat whatever they can fit in their mouth. So they mostly eat insects and spiders, but they've also been seen, some of these really big green tree frogs, they've been seen eating little mice and even baby snakes. So they really are gutsers.
What are they eating today, Tia?
What are they eating today? Today they are getting a gourmet meal, one of their favourite things to eat, crickets. So I'm gonna get them out here. Let's see if I can get this on my tongue. I usually feed them with my hands. Let's see if I can get some on the tongs here.
You can do it with your hands.
Yeah, should we do hands?
Yeah.
We might see my fingers get swallowed.
That'll be fun.
But it'll be super duper fun. Let's have a little look. All right, you guys ready? There we go. Woo!
Everybody wants some.
Let's see if we can do a bit of acrobatic jumping. Yes, here we go. All right, let's get some more in there. Now, these guys don't have a long, sticky tongue like in the movies. As you can see, have a little look. Let's see. No?
They're all not paying you attention. There we go.
There we go. There's too many at once, and I've got them all on my arm here. Whoop. All right. So they have a short, sticky tongue, and they have to use those amazing... How about you over here, mister? There we go.
We saw the tongue that time.
We saw the little tongue that time. Now, they use those amazing legs to jump on their prey. They're quite acrobatics. They'll even do this mid-air sometimes. They use a short, sticky tongue, stick the prey to their tongue. And I did say they have terrible table manners. They use their hands to shove the food in their mouth. Oh, we've got a feeding frenzy happening here.
Let's see some more.
Let's see a little bit more. How about Mister over here?
Yeah, I bet the mag's hungry.
Yeah,
Oh.
I knew it. Woo! And backflip. I told you they were acrobats. No.
Well.
They're also super clumsy when they do it. Don't eat each other. Oh my gosh, check that out. All right, so the way frogs swallow their food is super duper interesting. So I'm going to get you guys to...
We had a big jump there.
Whoa. You can stop holding on to each other. I'm going to get you guys to do something at home now. So can you feel the bones behind your eyebrows? Give that a little touch. You can feel it's quite hard over there. Now our frogs don't actually have many bones sitting behind those big eyeballs. You can see them poking up out of their faces. When they are swallowing large prey, they actually roll their eyeballs into the backs of their heads to push the food down their throats. They swallow with their eyeballs. They also use those big round eyeballs to find their prey as well. They mostly locate prey with sight. Because it sits up on their head, they can see mostly all the way around their bodies. I reckon we should see if we can get that eye swallowing action happening. Let's see, how about over here? Anyone? Anybody keen? Oh, we've got someone over here looking for a jump. Yeah, there we go. Did we see how we did a little blink there? Oh,
There we go.
there's that blink. Good stuff. What about down here? Yeah, and blink.
Good job.
Yes,
Got it.
awesome stuff. You might have also seen when my frogs were actually blinking then that they have not one, not two, but 3 eyelids. They have a clear eyelid that goes across their eyes. It's called the nictitating membrane, and they use this like a pair of goggles. What?
Everybody wants some.
Everybody wants it. We haven't got very good aim either. I swear these guys are great predators, I promise. Here we go. Whoop. And hey, whoa. They're not going to eat each other. Now, growling grass frogs actually do cannibalize sometimes. We met our growling grass frogs before, but these guys shouldn't be. They're just in a feeding frenzy.
What about Mag?
I reckon Mag should have some too. What do we think? Mr. Mag down here. Now,
there he goes.
And blink.
You can see that lovely membrane right there.
And that clear
Good
membrane.
job.
So they use it like a pair of goggles so they can see just as well underwater too. Let's give you one more. And remember, we're calling him Mr. Mag because he is a magnificent tree frog. Oh, hi. He's doing a bit of a swallow there. Maybe we'll let him swallow. And I'll come back up here for our feeding frenzy. Anyone else? This is the last course. This is dessert. Awesome. It's all right. You can have some too, buddy. There's plenty for everyone. You got one over here. No, that's my finger.
You can see he's trying to use his hands to shove Tia's finger into his mouth, which is what they would do in the wild.
But that's not their common prey. Fingers aren't their common prey. Alrighty, let's get one more out to have a little look. Now, I'm wondering if you guys remember one of the reasons why these guys are called amphibians. What can they do with their skin? Anyone?
Might be a little bit of time before people get back to you, but we've got some comments saying how they are enjoying seeing them trying to eat each other and how fun they are.
I told you, owning a frog, feeding them is the absolute best part. They are so charismatic and hilarious and quite comical as well. And trust me, we do feed them very often at Reptile Encounters, even though they're acting like they've never been fed in their lives, but I promise they do get fed, which is pretty cool.
Stephen says breathe.
Breathe, me.
No, the frog.
Oh, the frog.
That's the answer.
Oh, sorry. I do need to stop and breathe sometimes. I talk too much and I do forget to breathe sometimes. We can actually talk about breathing with frogs too, but breathing and drinking through their skin is one of the ways.
We have Renee with the right answer as well, breathing through their skin.
Oh my God. Okay, I don't even have to tell you anything. I think we should get you guys on here to teach the show. Well done. Now, they actually, to keep their skin nice and clean, they actually do shed their skin every 3 to 5 days. And this goes along with them having really bad table manners. After they shed their skin, they eat it. And this offers a really good protein for them as well. Now, I have been speaking about frogs for a really long time. Do we have any last questions?
Finn and Lucy thought that this was the coolest.
Okay, well, I agree with you, Lucy. Frogs are the coolest little things ever. Now, I hope that I have convinced you that having frogs on our planet makes our world and our environment a healthier, happier, and better place and provides us with so much excitement. So we've already spoken about a few things you guys can do to make sure our frogs stay nice and healthy. Keep sending in your questions. I'm going to be so happy to be able to answer them. You can ask some of the ways that we can further help our frogs and our environment, or ask me questions about these awesome animals. Also, in these comments, we are hearing from Josh this afternoon at 2 p.m. in another wild live stream. Why don't you guys put in some suggestions on what you'd like to encounter at Reptile Encounters, because there's a lot of excitement going on here. Thank you so much, everybody. My name's Tia. I'm from Reptile Encounters, and I hope you had just as much fun as I did today with Mr. Fredo.